Qualifying for the 2025 Singapore Grand Prix just took place. Max Verstappen is not on pole, but he is on the front row. George Russell is on pole, mega lap. He's the only one who improved in his second qualifying run, and Max Verstappen couldn't improve because Lando Norris was apparently 2 seconds ahead of him, and the dirty air cost him a lot. But Verstappen was like the only guy who genuinely challenged Russell for the pole position, which is insane to see. And then behind them in the second row are Oscar Piastri alongside Kimi Antonelli, ahead of Kimi Antonelli on P4, and Norris is behind them. And based on this qualifying alone, based on tomorrow's main Grand Prix starting grid, there are three important key takeaways based on just how this qualifying went down. Three takeaways. The first one is Norris is out of title contention. He's just not. I mean, I'm not gonna like in terms of points. Yes, he's closer to Oscar Piastri, but in terms of a challenger, someone who is fighting to win the world title, he ain't it. He's just out of contention. So I'm just gonna ignore him from now on. The second point is Oscar Piastri needs to get his shit together. I mean, yes, in qualifying he could have been a little bit closer, but P3 just behind Verstappen is not bad. He will lose points to Verstappen because he is starting behind Verstappen in P3. Verstappen is P2, so which means he's definitely going to finish behind Verstappen. There is no way he's going to make the overtake into turn 1. We will talk about that like in a second. In the third point, which is Verstappen is closer than you think to win the world title. Earlier in Thursday press conference, Tom Clarkson asked the drivers, like, what is the probability that you think that Max is going to win the world title? And everybody's like 5%, 10%. Russell said 100%. But, you know, he was being cheeky. But realistically, I think right now, based on how the qualifying went, because it's not about Singapore anymore. Russell was not supposed to be, the Red Bull was not supposed to be as competitive as this. But we will analyze each of the 3 points in depth. So I would say Verstappen is now has a 40% chance, at least. You gotta give him 40% to win the world title because there are two contenders basically. Norris is not a contender, and I will explain to you why. So we'll go through each of these one by one. The first one is the Norris situation. I said that he is out of title contention, and the reason is in a recent interview. You gotta listen. I love to listen to Lando Norris talk because it gives us glimpse into his mindset. So he said in that interview that it's impossible to be as good as Max Verstappen. What he basically meant in his subconscious is that if both of us have the same car, he will win 100% of the time. That's basically what he said. And it also reflects in his performance because I don't think Norris is improving. Because if you look at Oscar Piastri's journey as a Formula One driver, I mean, if you compare 2024 season for Oscar and 2025 for Oscar, it's massively different. You know, he had a tough start to the season, but after that, he has been fairly consistent throughout the entire year. And he needs to be a little bit more cautious from now on based on how things are going out so far. We will talk about him in the next point. But if you look at the evolution of Lando Norris, it hasn't been that impressive, so to speak. Since 2024, I guess you can say in some ways he has improved, but I don't see that much. His biggest weakness was racecraft and, managing overtakes, managing risks, and judging the right thing at the right time, reading how a driver is going to behave on the track, not, approaching it from like a basic theorist perspective. Like, these are the areas of improvement that he needed to have. He needed to become a little bit more tough, he needed to learn how to manage his emotions properly, not be a bitch every time something goes wrong, not point a finger at someone else and give an excuse when, things go wrong, things don't go his way. But he has been doing that. And when he said that it's impossible to beat Verstappen, like everything just clicked together, like mentally, he obviously knows that he cannot win against Verstappen on a fair day. And also, like physically, like if you look at his performance, there is the evolution of Lando Norris hasn't been that impressive, kind of like Yuki Tsunoda. because Yuki had like one good weekend in Azerbaijan and everybody got excited, and now, I mean, I was a little bit excited too, but now in Singapore he is in the back of the grid. I mean, not in the back of the grid, but outside. Like doesn't matter positions. Either way, Lando Norris, like even if you look at his performance in 2025 so far, he has been consistently. I mean, he has been consistent. The strengths of Lando Norris still remain. He extracts the maximum performance out of the car, and he he is consistent. You can say that, but at the same time, that's all what he had in 2024, and he has more tools in his arsenal. So he has kind of like, this is the peak Lando Norris I guess we will ever see. Always the contender, never the champion. That sort of thing. It is what it is, and he needs to also. I mean, if you look at his recent performances in, like for example, in 2025 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Lando Norris was horrible. He lost a position to Isaac Hadjar at the race start. Then he got it back, credit to him. Then after that, in the safety car restart, he lost a position to Charles Leclerc. Like he was sleeping in like every time in safety car. Like he hasn't improved those things. In where is it? In Belgium, where Oscar Piastri overtook Lando Norris for the victory. In Belgium, Lando got read by Oscar. He was literally like, Oscar Piastri spotted because Lando accelerated first, then slowed down, and then accelerated again. Oscar read that, and that's why like it allowed him to set Lando up for that overtake. So for all of these reasons, Lando Norris is formally out of contention. We are not going to discuss about Lando's chances at the title because there will never be anything. All he has is pace. He can extract the maximum out of the car, and that's all that is. You need much more than that in order to become a world champion, as we have seen time and time again. The next point is Oscar Piastri needs to get his shit together. Now, the buffer to Verstappen was closing sometimes in the earlier part of the season, especially when Verstappen won in Japan, then he won in Imola, and all those type of things. In those situations, Verstappen did not have a fast car consistently from one weekend to another, and that's why it was kind of okay. You cannot just. I mean, you can just ignore that. But now, Oscar needs to understand that okay, McLaren have stopped evolving their car, but Red Bull are clearly not, because Red Bull knows that 2026 is going to be new engines and anything can happen with new engines. So they're like, you know what, this is a realistic chance. We still have a few races left. If we give Max Verstappen a rocket ship, he will win every race because he has done it before. And he is proving it right now. When Max Verstappen has a chance of winning the race, he wins the race. So Oscar Piastri is now again going to lose points to Verstappen in the 2025 Singapore Grand Prix, because he is starting behind Verstappen, so he's going to finish behind Verstappen. Verstappen is going to take the lead in turn 1 by turn 2, because first there is a little bit of turn 1, and even into turn 1, if Verstappen is behind, the apex of turn 2, he's just going to release the brakes and he's going to just be there, like it's going to happen. There will be a contact maybe, but Verstappen, even if he will go around the outside, he will go around the outside, get a 5-second penalty. He will, on the radio, he will claim that he didn't leave a space or whatever. But at the same time, because that's literally is Verstappen's game. So Verstappen is starting P2, so he's going to go side by side because that's all he needs to do. And towards the first corner, obviously Russell is ahead, so he will brake, and Verstappen will brake late. So he will just set him up from here. Even if he's behind, he's going to set him up, and into turn 1, Russell will brake briefly. Verstappen will not, and he will be right alongside him, and there he's going to take the position. He's going to snatch the fucking position. And if George makes a mistake at the start, then obviously Verstappen is going to lead the race. But Verstappen is going to lead the race. Oscar Piastri will probably finish P3. If Mercedes doesn't have any reliability issue, or we don't get any kind of safety car. But safety cars can happen. Williams have shown some reliability issues in Alexander Albon's car. So anything can happen in that regard. But either way, Oscar Piastri is not overtaking Max Verstappen. Any point in the race, he's going to lose points to Verstappen again, third weekend in a row. And this time it's like a little bit of big points, because if Piastri finishes P3, Verstappen will take 10 points out of him, which is not bad. Going into Austin last year, Norris was 47 points behind Verstappen. Going into Austin this year, if Piastri finishes P3 and loses 10 points to Verstappen, Verstappen will be trailing Piastri by 59 points, which is still doable for Verstappen standards. So Piastri, again, if he continually loses big double-digit points to Max Verstappen and doesn't regain some of it, then it's gonna be a problem. Like, his approach, his calm and collected approach, soon will become disturbed, because you never know in future when you will have this type of an opportunity where you have a fast car to fight against the world championship, like to fight for the world championship. So Oscar Piastri needs to realize that this may be the only chance you get in your whole life in F1 career. That happens. So you have to go ahead and maintain that mental stability, and you will have that mental stability if you don't lose that many points to Verstappen. And the further you start behind, the more chances of you of getting tagged. Someone is gonna hit you, someone will cut you off, someone will break your front wing, you may get a puncture, you may pick up debris and get punctured. So like a lot of things could happen. And if you have a false start or a bad start, because that probably is in Piastri's mind, he is thinking in his mind like, okay, I gotta make the most of it. Either way, he needs to get his shit together. Okay, if you lose 10 points in Singapore, it's fine, whatever. 59 points, not the ideal situation. You still need a bigger, the bigger, healthier lead is the better, right? 59 points, still not that bad, but you, out of the remaining 6 races after Singapore, Piastri needs to win a couple. He needs to win 2 races, at least. And the rest of the races he can finish, just behind Verstappen. Verstappen and Piastri can be P2, P3, whatever order, like whatever it is. He needs to do those things. He needs to go and get some wins. There are 6 races remaining. I don't know in which tracks McLaren are going to be strong, but seems that Red Bull is strong enough, so Verstappen will be challenging for pole and race win in all of the remaining races for the remainder of the season. It's official. So Piastri needs to get at least 2 more wins. So the final thing on our list is Verstappen's chances of winning the 2025 Drivers' Championship, making it 5 in a row. A lot of people before the qualifying, they were saying 10-15%. Russell was being a dick, not taking this question seriously. Norris giving a vague answer as usual because he himself is an emotional mess. But right now, after the qualifying session has been completed, it's about 40%, because there are 2 contenders. Norris is not a contender because of all those reasons we discussed. But Verstappen is closer than many people thought. In Monza, you can say Monza is a high-speed track, a lot of high-speed corners, this and that, whatever. In Azerbaijan, you can say there's a lot of straights. Azerbaijan shares a lot of track characteristics with Monza, but Azerbaijan is a very different circuit with the bumps, with 90-degree corners. It's a very different circuit. But still, I'm not nitpicking. Okay, you can give it a little bit of benefit of doubt, you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's Azerbaijan, it's Baku street circuit, long ass straight is there, so everybody just thinks that, that's the entire track. Either way, whatever. But now in Singapore, Verstappen is legitimately a 10th and a half quicker, consistently on average, 10th and a half to 2 tenths. That's how much faster he has been from the fastest McLaren of the day. In qualifying, he is about like a 10th and a half ahead of Oscar Piastri, the faster McLaren. In Singapore, a track where McLaren were supposed to dominate. Obviously, the surprise is Mercedes, because even until FP3, I was not believing that Mercedes are going to be a contender for pole. I was like, maybe they'll be in like P5, P6 qualifying. I was giving a more of a chance to Ferrari, but Ferrari, as usual, they always disappoint. I don't even want to talk about them. Either way. But now Verstappen on a track where Red Bull is supposed to struggle and be behind McLaren and lose points. Not lose points, but like fall back more behind in the championship standings. That didn't happen. And by the looks of it, he's going to take double digit points out of Oscar Piastri because Verstappen is going to take the lead and then he will extend the lead, which will negate the 5-second penalty from George Russell. I mean, he's going to, even if it comes to that, I just explained a few minutes earlier how Verstappen will set him up for an overtake, but even if it doesn't happen, he will overtake him off track and he will just take the 5-second penalty and he will just push because he's ahead. There's clear air. He can manage his tires better and the pace better. Overcut, undercut, you do the math, whatever it is. In the race pace, I think Verstappen and Russell and Kimi Antonelli, but Kimi can also come into play, but we'll see about that. But Verstappen is going to snatch the lead from Russell and 5-second penalty won't matter to him. So Oscar Piastri at best is going to finish P3 because he will be under pressure from Kimi Antonelli behind him. The Mercedes is quick and George Russell obviously overtaking him is going to be a nightmare. So here, on a track like Singapore, Verstappen is taking double-digit points from the lead of Oscar Piastri. This was not supposed to happen. That's the most important thing I want you to take away from the 2025 title fight situation featuring Max Verstappen, the defending champ, and Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris is not in the equation. So you have to take that into account that out of the remaining 6 Grand Prix, will Max Verstappen win all of them? Yes. I mean, if this is the pace of the car relative to the McLaren in Singapore on a track where they're supposed to struggle, I would say Verstappen has a chance to win all of the races, including the sprint race. Now it's a matter of how far behind Oscar Piastri finishes him and can he steal a couple of wins, like I mentioned a few minutes earlier. Piastri needs to react because Verstappen is here and I'm telling you, he is legitimately a contender for pole and race wins for all the races from here to the end of the year. Recently in Singapore, Red Bull bought an upgrade to Verstappen's car, which is something related to the engine to improve the stability. Right now, they are still bringing upgrades about stability, like for stability, to improve the stability of the car because I think they have unlocked enough pace. And now they're like, we just need the car to be reliable. Not stability, sorry, reliability. There's some reliability related upgrade. Which is crazy. Because usually, I mean, you just tweak a little bit, especially considering 2026 is a big change of regulations are coming. But at the same time, it's impressive that they're comfortable with the pace and they're like bringing in more reliability upgrades so that they can continue to push and even extract more pace. So if anything, the Red Bull is going to get quicker as we approach the remaining race weekends in 2025. But Verstappen has realistically, I would say, at this point, just by looking at the pace and just imagining how the next 6 races will go, because Mexico, Verstappen is winning. United States, it depends on the qualifying. I think if Verstappen starts in the front row, he is going to steal the lead. I mean, it's going to happen. All he is going to do right now is ruin Oscar Piastri's race and just finish ahead of him. Obviously, that strategy cannot work when you are trailing behind, but at the same time, Verstappen is crazy. He will fight Oscar and then go win the race. It's going to happen. So United States is also like I would give the credit to Verstappen. Then there is Brazil. That's a Verstappen track. Abu Dhabi, that brings back some memories, man, from 2021. So all of the tracks, I mean, Qatar is a great track for Verstappen. It's a high-speed track, so it will go more into Red Bull's hands. I mean, what else is left? Whatever, like all of the remaining racetracks, I mean, it's just Verstappen is written all over it. And right now in Singapore, I think he's going to win in Singapore. I have been saying it the entire weekend. There has been a little bit of humorous undertone in it, but that's because I know that people are not who are watching it are not believing it. So in a way, I was just smiling inside because they will be proven wrong after Sunday's main race, which will be, I mean, I'll be live streaming it, so feel free to join that. So anyway, the point is, what's the point? Max Verstappen has a genuine chance at winning the World Championship, 40%. Oscar Piastri needs to get his shit together and steal a couple of wins from the remaining 6 races after Singapore. Lando Norris, I mean, this is the best of Lando Norris. He's not going to improve. He's not improving. He has reached his peak. He mentally has accepted defeat and said that I will never be as good as Max Verstappen. If we have the same car, he will smoke me 100% of the time. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.